Henshin Inspection presents Writer Tears. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Prepare yourself for some biting Kamen Rider analysis. My grandmother said this: you have to be kind to be strong. Now, let's go writer chat.
It's time to talk about Kamen Rider Gavv episode 6. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe it's not butter. So, I gotta say, I really like this episode. I think it was a great debut for Kamen Rider Valen. I've liked Honto from the beginning. Excuse me. I definitely felt that Soji was throwing up a death flag for himself when he said stuff to him, like, be careful over and over again. And then when he said, you're like a son to me, I thought, uh-oh, here it comes. Here it comes. First he's lost his mother. Now he's going to lose his surrogate father. And he wonders why. Honto wonders why all this happens to him. And Nelvi, whatever. Navel? I think it's navel. Wait, no, aren't they all words for tongue? They're all words for tongue in different languages? Anyway, whatever. The brother of the sisters, and I guess all of them, the brother with the glasses and the, whatever. He's like the research guy. He has known about Gavv this whole time. And he allegedly, by the end of the episode, says that implies that he pushed them into a certain direction. He nudged Valen and, I guess, Kenzo into making, Valen, making the writer system for him. And it's really interesting. Excuse me. I'm sick. I'm getting over a cough. Please God, I heal up, and anyway, we'll see. We get the implication that he wanted this to happen, and he likes the science and the technology that exists around the Granutes, I would say, generally. He has notes on Great Uncle Dente's writer system that he put on Shoma, the Red Gavv, and he remarks that the interesting thing about biological experiments is you never quite know how they're going to function. And I think that's pretty interesting. I think it's an interesting thing to point out. We have a biological experiment happening here with Valen getting that granute organ put into him, or I should say with Honto getting that granute organ put into him. And I gotta say, I like this episode. I like the debut. I like the fight. I like the fact that Shoma was not able to beat the mushroom guy because his slime was too slippery. But then it's sticky. So is it slippery or is it sticky? Can it be both? I don't really know. Anyway, and that causes a problem for him. Excuse me. And he's unable to win the fight. So he skedaddles out of there, and he only finds them once Honto has found him, and once they're fighting, and really once Honto has defeated him. And I gotta say, the thing probably I love most about Honto's fight is that we get set up for it a little bit with a memory with him and Soji, where he learned that he's not a great fighter. And Soji says, maybe you should pick up another hobby if you're not going to be good at fighting, because he's patching him up and helping him and such. And that was a really cute moment. And it's obvious that he isn't good at fighting. And it's obvious that the writer system does not, or at least the Valen Buster, does not give one who has it, wears it, wields it, whatever, instant kung fu. He did not download kung fu into his mind in order to be a granite buster. And I think it's good. It's fun. It's a neat little twist that he's not good at fighting, and I think it's kind of cute. And he's just, we've had competent combatants before as secondary writers, and we have one who's not so great, so it's kind of a fun turn. Anyway, so Kenzo is interesting. I feel like I've consistently expressed concerns for him or suspicion about him. And I gotta say, this episode made me feel like I'm very correct in suspecting him and being suspicious of him. He swiped a couple more of the Gochizos, which now I know their name because they've talked about it in the show. It's settling in my mind better. And I think they were the Chocodon ones, the chocolate ones. And I would think he's doing that because I'm sure Valen will consume them, and he'll only be able to use, one per fight or one per X amount of fights, which we don't know yet, and that's interesting. It'd also be interesting to see if like the more power he uses, the more a Gochizo is drained, or the more quickly it's drained, and therefore in a fight where things are really intense and he's going really hard, he might have to swap out multiple Gochizos, and then he can't transform. That's kind of an interesting concept, and I wonder if they'll eventually play with that, or if Shomi's just gonna have to keep eating chocolate to help his butt out right there. But if they were ever to become enemies, he could just stop eating that chocolate, and ostensibly he wouldn't be able to transform unless he can transform with anything, and he'll always get the Chakudon form, which doesn't make sense. It should be dependent on the Gochiso in there, but whatever. I'm talking about mechanics now, as opposed to the story here. And I'm not supposed to be directly talking about the story, because I was talking about the fight, and then I switched over to talking about Genzo, who's super suspicious. And I don't know. It's very convenient. I'm not going to say it's contrived. It makes sense for a fictional story like this. But Kenzo points out to him, I have this Valen Buster that I want to use to destroy Granute. You have Granute that you want to destroy, and you have nothing to lose now. Your mother's gone, your grandmother's gone, your surrogate father's gone. You have nobody, and you have nothing. So let's come together, and I'm going to use you to my ends. And I feel like Honto was very much suspicious of Genzo, but he's at such a point where he doesn't really care what happens with him, and he explicitly states that in the episode when he goes to get his surgery, and his mid-surgery. Yeah, I went there. Anyway, so anyway, it's just really interesting how Kenzo is portrayed and how he's coming across. He really seems like maybe he's somebody who doesn't care about human life, or maybe he cares more about science and technology and technological advances, and he cares less about the consequences that it has. We don't know that for sure. He may not be human. He may be human. We, again, don't know that for sure. And that's something that I hope will be explored throughout the show, because there's definitely room for it to be explored. And I wouldn't mind him being kind of like an evil mad scientist who is redeemed and corrected and pulled away from that. But I don't know, it's kind of interesting, suspicious, where's he getting these physiological samples of the Granute stuff? Where'd he get that heart or liver or whatever organ that secretes stuff? Where did that come from? I don't know. It's pretty suspicious. And yet, because of where he is, Honto is just going to accept it and roll with it. And if he gets to get revenge, that's wonderful for him. And I guess he'll keep taking out the Granute, and he can see Kenzo as an ally, because, hey, he wants these things dead. I'm the one who can kill them, aside from Gavv. And I trust me, at least, to do what I need to do. And I think it's really interesting. I also think it's interesting that on the flip side, we have Shoma going to Uncle Dente and kind of talking to him about doing the same thing, and having him be his support guy. And that's really interesting to me, that we kind of have two parallel, writer teams, or whatever you want to call them. And I find that curious. I don't quite know why they're doing that, but I do like that they are doing that, and I think it's interesting and fun. And I'm excited to see how that all develops going forward. Yeah, it's an interesting story of revenge. Oh, I wanted to say, there's kind of been something going on online about, or on Twitter at least, in some of the Toku Twitter I'm adjacently in, and people are saying Kamen Rider isn't about surgery, and Kamen Rider isn't about suffering, and Kamen Rider isn't about pain, and that's not what's making Gavv so great. Gavv's great because it has great character writing and great story writing, and it's planned out well, and everything builds upon each other. I agree with that assessment, that it is great because of those things, but I also think that fundamental to Kamen Rider is being a victim who wants to help other people not become victims, or tries to save other victims of the same evil that victimized you. It's very much there. It's very much a part of Kamen Rider. And we have Shoma having the psychological and physical abuse from his family, his dad and the others. And also his mom was kidnapped or whatever too, and couldn't leave. She was kidnapped in that legal sense. And then we have Honto with Soji. He then works with Kenzo to get himself transformed, like a Kamen Rider V3, who volunteers basically to become a demon if that's what it takes to save his family or whatever. And that's something about parting with humanity, or coping with the pain, and for the sake of not allowing that to happen to other people. is really good and strong, and like that's a core thing in Kamen Rider. I think it's really important that we don't lose sight of that, and I think it's kind of silly that people want to ignore that and say like that's not Kamen Rider. So it's like, it clearly is Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider can be other things, but going back to that stuff along with good writing and stuff makes it really cool. And of course, if you went back to that and the writing wasn't good and the story wasn't good, the acting wasn't good, it would all fall apart. But if it's not done well, it's not done well. So anyway, that's all my thoughts for now. What do you think? Tell me. I want to know.
I hope you enjoyed that. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I invite you to comment, ask questions, and share your thoughts with me. It's always more fun when you're part of the conversation. Until next time, be well and do good things. Visit mjmunoz.com for more of my work and help me build up the Fortress Fiction.